What does it mean to be cut off from the land of the living? And I know this question and what we're going to get into at this point in time, it's going to do something to some people. Because the individual within Isaiah 53 does not actually die physically. We're going to see this. And from the conversations that I'm having, from the interactions and the things that I'm hearing, we're seeing cut off from the land of the living in English, right? We're seeing that in English, but we're not understanding that although what we're seeing in English, it's not the same Hebrew connotation. And we're going to see this in from two different places. We're going to see what is actually going on to the main character of Isaiah 53. What is there cutting off? Contextually, philosophically, and linguistically, something that we fail to do when we're reading this chapter and we're seeing the language in English. We can't do that. We know that, right? We have to look at this text from its linguistic, philosophical, and cultural contextual position. So what does it mean to actually be cut off from the land of the living? Turning to Isaiah 53, verse 8, he was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. Now, this phrase, cut off, in the Hebrew, it means gāzar, which means not necessarily to kill you. It actually means to make a decree of, or to snatch from, or to divide in half, to separate from, to exclude, to cut or to divide in two. That's the meaning of this term cut off, which we see illustrated in Ezekiel 37, verse 11. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. We have to understand what that for our parts is, because that is what is being cut off from. This isn't literal. 2 Chronicles 26:21. Uzziah the king was a leper unto the day of his death, and dwelt in a several house, being a leper. He was cut off from the house of the Lord. Jotham his son was set over the king's house, judging the people of the land. This isn't literal death. This is separation from. This is divided from. This is being excluded from. 1 Kings 3:26. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yet yearned upon her son. And she said, My Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, No, divide it. This divide is the same gāzar that is used in Isaiah 53:8, cut off. The individual is not dead, literally. That's not what this term in the Hebrew is used for. It's used for cutting off, in the sense of separating, in the sense of causing a departure, in the sense of excluding from. That's the context, the linguistic contextual framework. Now, in our heads, when we're reading this, cut off from the land of the living, we're thinking of a cut off similar to what is going on in the book of Daniel. Daniel 9:26, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. This cut off means karath. This means to cut off a dead part of the body, to cut off the head, to behead, to cut down the person, to destroy, to physically take you away from your living existence. This is not the word used in Isaiah 53. Different word, different context. Karath is not the word that is used in Isaiah 53. Karath is, again, not the word used in Isaiah 53. Karath is literally destroying you, taking you away. Leviticus 17:14, for it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it is for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, you shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off, shall be karath. Ezekiel 35:7, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. 2 Samuel 20:22. Then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Shabbath, son of Bishri, and cast it out to Joab. He blew a trumpet, they retired from the city, every man to his tent. This is the definition of the cut off in the sense of Daniel chapter 9. The cut off in the sense of Daniel chapter 9 is not applied to what's going on in Isaiah 53. We have to realize that. Because when we're in Isaiah 53, we're not dealing with someone that is physically killed. We're not dealing with someone that is actually taken out of physical existence. We're not. The word used in the Hebrew language lets us know that. We have to know that. Because if we are not knowing that, we're going to go into this chapter and we're going to pick up a scent about it that is going to deviate from the actual intention of the author writing it. This then leads us to understand, or at least to think about understanding, what it means to exist within the land of the living. Because if they are not physically cut off, and this being cut off is not literal, what actually is the land of the living that they are supposed to be separated from, excluded from, decreed from, to be not for or in or anything of that nature? That's the quote unquote cut off that is used. And that's actually the question that should be asked.
My man is going off right now and I'm loving it. Keep your mind and your ears open for what's coming up next on Justification.
Now, the easiest way to get our answer is to go to where this verse in Isaiah 53 is already fulfilled. Already fulfilled. Jeremiah 11:19. I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter, and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more remembered. Same language. Let's go back to Isaiah 53 to see it. Verse 8, he was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people was he stricken. This is the same language used. Same language used. Same scene. The scene is fulfilled. Jeremiah fulfills it. Now, if the same language is used, if we are trying to understand what the context is behind the land of the living, well, then it must follow that the same context used for Jeremiah here is ultimately the same context used for the character of Isaiah 53. And that's actually the case. Same language, same contextual, linguistic, philosophical tone equates to same contextual landscape. So with the word cut off not actually meaning to kill, but to exclude, to divide, to separate, with the same language used in the book of Jeremiah as is in the book of Isaiah, we have to ask ourselves, who wants Jeremiah separated from them? This cut off does not mean cut off as in physically eliminate. It means cut off as in decree separation from. Who wants Jeremiah separated from them? Very plain verse. We get our answer, Jeremiah 26 verse 8. Now it came to pass when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking all that the Lord had commanded him to speak unto all the people, the priests and the prophets, and all the people took him, saying, what? You will surely die. Going down some verses, 16 to 19, then said the princes and all the people unto the priests and to the prophets, this man is not worthy to die. He had spoken to us in the name of the Lord our God. Then rose up certain of the elders. Verse 18, Micah prophesied in the days of Hezekiah. Did anything happen to him? Verse 19, did not he fear the Lord and besought the Lord, and the Lord repented him of the evil which he pronounced against them. This is who wants Jeremiah to be put to death. The priesthood. The priesthood. Say that again. The priesthood. Jeremiah 38, 1 through 5. Then the heads of the priesthood heard what Jeremiah said, and said unto them that he said, Verse 2, he that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. He that goeth forth to the Chaldeans will live, for he shall save his life for a prey and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, listen, this man, put him to death. He's weakened the hands of the individuals that we have for war to remain in this city. All the people speaking these words to them, this man does not seek our welfare, but our hurt. Then the king Zedekiah said, verse 5, he's in your hand. It is not in my will or desire. I can't do anything against you, against him. Jeremiah is the one who went to the slaughter as a lamb to be cut off from the land of the living. If the priesthood wants Jeremiah killed, if the priesthood wants Jeremiah cut off, this cut off means separated from them. This means that the land of the living is actually the place that is occupied by the priesthood. We have to remember that Jeremiah is a member of the priesthood. How can we know this? Jeremiah 1, very first verse. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin. Anathoth is another name for Jerusalem. To be cut off from the land of the living, it actually means to be separated or excluded from, or to have a decree of you against being fit into the priesthood. The land of the living is the territory of the priesthood. We're going to see this. They are the territory of the priesthood, the land of the living, because the priesthood is quote unquote living. We're going to see what these terms mean, because the more that we're able to understand what these terms mean, already understanding from a linguistic, cultural, philosophical perspective that the main character of Isaiah 53 is cut off, not in the sense of a literal death, but is separated. That's the Hebrew word used. We're then able to understand that what is cut off from the land of the living is not actually a literal land to be separated from. What is this? What is the author actually trying to convey by using this terminology and the words that they are using that we see in English, but in the Hebrew is very specific to the narrative that they are trying to get across to their reader and audience? Do you remember Genesis 3 and verse 20? Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. Now, why was this title given to this woman, mother of all living? Did she have any children at this point? Was she an actual mother at this point? We have to think about this. Did she have any children at this point to be called a mother? Did she have anything that could be considered as living proceeding from her already? Because whoever is to be titled mother of all living, they should actually have something living proceeding from them to receive that title fitting for them. Is this person here, this character Eve, is she actually at this point in time a mother? Is she not a mother in the next chapter? Why is she called the mother of all living if nothing living actually proceeded from her yet? She is not a literal mother. What she is actually the mother of is the living. She is a mother contextually, not literally, not physically, not actually. She is a mother contextually, in that she is a mother, the offspring of who come from her. They are not coming from her literally, they're coming from her cognitively and behaviorally. She is the queen, the head, the mother of all of the living. Now we understand who the living are because of her behavior. She behaves in the sense of what her offspring is supposed to also behave like. What is living is proceeding from her figuratively, not literally. All that behave in her living lifestyle, they inherit her disposition, making them her children. What is living has a negative connotation attached to it. We understand this because the title given to this woman was not given to her after she had done something positive. After she had done something negative, she was given this title of living. She is living in a sense of something that is not positive or positively affecting behavior, self, well-being, disposition, demeanor. The host, the individual, fulfilling her behavior and receiving the same trait of personality and character, they are her child. That's their mother, because they are embodying what she embodied to receive the title Mother of all living. This should let us know that the term quote unquote living is not actually a literal term. This isn't referring to literal human beings. To be alive, this is a Hebrew term, Hebrew philosophical connotation. To be alive, to be with life, to be living. It's not anything good. It's to behave exactly like this character, Eve. Isaiah 57, 9 and 10. And thou wentest to the king with ointment, and didst increase thy perfumes, didst send thy messengers far off, and did debase yourself even to hell. You are wearied in the greatness of your way. You did not say, for you said not, there is no hope. Thou hast found the life of thine hand, therefore thou was not grieved. The idea behind the life of the hand, it stems back to this idea of quote unquote living. What has life, what is quote unquote living, possesses a nature, a specific nature, where it will do anything for gain and have anything for possession, even if it means falsifying itself, its appearance, through a form of quote unquote beauty. The living achieve this. The living perpetuate this on a daily basis. Remember in Isaiah 53, where it says there is no beauty in him that he should be desired? Remember that? Well, that's not literal beauty. This is the beauty of the countenance of the devotional conversations, thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors. The land of the living dresses up their thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors, both personally and religiously. This is what makes them the land of the living. The living have the qualities of their mother, and their mother's qualities are not passed down to them biologically, but cognitively, mentally, dispositionally, in their character personality traits. So when we're seeing that one is to be separated, excluded from, divided from the land of the living, we're actually seeing that one is being separated from the priesthood, because that's the only land of the living that exists in the Bible's context that will beautify themselves via their appearance, via their whatever you want to put to that, to make them appear more than what they are for the purpose of gain.
Ever wonder if your faith truly reflects your experience? Discover the essence of a living and breathing faith in A Faith That Works. A Faith That Works challenges you to not just believe, but to act on your beliefs in a positive way. Cooperate with the Bible to cultivate a faith that doesn't just speak, but also acts. Give your faith the chance to shine. Your journey is unique. A Faith That Works encourages personal reflection to find your devotional essence. Deepen your connection with the Bible. Let its devotional characters shine through your actions. Experience the transformative power of a book challenging you to examine your faith. Let it change you. Let it guide you. Embark on a journey to explore the depths of your beliefs. Let A Faith That Works be your compass.
So let's look a little bit closer at the land of the living, to the book of Psalms. The Psalm 142, 3-5, when my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path, in the way wherein I walked, have they privily lit a snare for me. I looked on my right hand and beheld, there was no man that would know me, refuge failed me, no man cared for my soul. Verse 5, I cried unto thee, O Lord, I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. Now, the land of the living is not the spot. The land of the living is not the spot to be in If you are a follower of the philosophy encoded at the center of the scriptures, you don't go into any esoteric realm, you don't go into any denominated thought, you don't go into any non-denominational theory, you're not led by any MDiv or expert. Your main concern is the philosophy and the thought process going on at the core of the scriptures. When you're in the land of the living, this is not the spot to be in, because you will only receive hate. You will receive hate for the way that you are conducting yourself, and you will receive envy for the way that you are deviating, which is why they need to cut you off or separate you from them. Why? Why are they like this? Amos 5 and verse 10. Very simple. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. It's the main reason. The individual in the land of the living is meshing with the philosophy at the core of the scriptures, and they are not going away from it. They are not rebellious towards it. They are opening their mouth and they are eating the text themselves to understand what to speak, how, why, and to whom, for the purpose of bringing them back, and them, land of the living, to where they need to be. Psalm 116, 6-13, the Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Return unto thy rest, my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, my feet from falling. I will walk, verse 9, before the Lord, where? In the land of the living. I believe, therefore have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, all men are liars. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefit toward me? I will take the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord. The land of the living, they are filled with the lying quote-unquote men. This is not literal biological male. This is the biology of the devotional aspect of things, the biology of the religious aspect of things. These quote-unquote men are priests. That's all the narrative from Genesis to Malachi is about. There is nothing positive said about a pastor, a priest, or any clergy or minister. There's nothing positive said about them, because they are the enemies to the narrative. Now, the ones that are the enemies to the narrative, they have an enemy themselves. And the enemy themselves is always one from the midst of them. One from the midst of them, who will not be persuaded by their theoretical things and however you want to think about that, but will only resort back to these scriptures themselves to philosophically understand the point therein. They will always want to separate them, to exclude them through and by any means, which ultimately leads into Jeremiah 20. Jeremiah 20, 12-14, but, O Lord of hosts, that trieth the righteous and sees the reins of the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them, for unto thee have I opened my cause. Sing unto the Lord, praise ye the Lord. He hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of evildoers. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Verse 18 of the same chapter, wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar where somebody is, not feeling so good about the labor that they are having in the land of the living? This is Jeremiah's problem with the priesthood. With the priesthood, all they do is labor, and they never take anything back to help them, quote unquote, rest. Does this sound familiar? Ecclesiastes 2:22, for what hath man of all his labor, and of the vexation of his heart wherein he hath labored under the sun? Ecclesiastes 1:3, what profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? Why is the author saying this? What's the book of Ecclesiastes about? Well, the book of Ecclesiastes is about the individual main character there living their life as a specific category of individuals that they reveal to the reader in their 3rd chapter. Ecclesiastes 3:10 and 11. I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he has set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Ecclesiastes 1:3. And I gave my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under the heaven. This sore travail hath God given to the sons of men to be exercised therewith. The land of the living is actually the sons of men. Funny. The land of the living is actually the sons of men. The sons of men are men from men. Think to seminary in our 2025 day. The word seminary comes from the word semen. Seminary. It means the passing down of seed from man to man. This is what the Bible terms as, in its context, homosexuality. The land of the living is the sons of men, the priesthood. This is their fate, as we're seeing in the book of Ecclesiastes. What this author lived, Jeremiah experienced. That's his lamentation and woe when he's saying, I wish I was never born, because nothing that I see is anything that is conducive to anything progressive, anything, anywhere. It's all about labor, and it's tiring. And the ones that should be seeing this, they're not. And when I'm saying something about it, they want to separate me from them. They have intentions for me. And so let me see your vengeance on them, which is the vengeance of the destruction of them, that their deity, his deity, Jeremiah's deity, has already planned to execute. This is Isaiah 53. Everything here in the life of Jeremiah, in the life of Ezekiel, in the life of Amos, in the life of Daniel, Nehemiah, all these folks, it is all fulfilled in Isaiah 53's main character. Jeremiah especially fulfills the bill as the author writing it. They're taking this language used word for word for the purpose of letting the reader know that Isaiah 53 is a Jeremiah character who is not to be killed physically, but who is to be separated and excluded from the land of the living, which land of the living is ultimately the sons of men, which sons of men is ultimately the priesthood. We should be able to understand this narrative from the language that's being used so that we can understand and further know for our own personal devotional well-being the kind of aspect that the author writing Isaiah 53 is getting at for their audience. The land that the main character of Isaiah 53 is cut off from is not a literal land. This isn't a literal land. It's not a literal land because their cutting off is not literal. We know this in the verses afterwards, especially Isaiah 53:10, which talks about their prolonged existence, something that we see an example of through the character Jeremiah. The fulfillment. It's already been fulfilled. And the language in the context signifies not a literal cutting off, but a separation from the land of the living. With separation, Jeremiah again lived. So when we're seeing this term and we're reading it in English, we really have to be mindful that throughout Genesis to Malachi, this phrase cut off is used all over the place, and all over the place, different Hebrew words are used for it. So when we're reading Isaiah 53, we have to zone in on the language so that when we're going through it, we're able to conduct ourselves in a way to paint a portrait similar to the way that the author is illustrating it. And when we do, we will be able to see the kind of fulfillment in character trend that the author is perpetuating. We're seeing this in Jeremiah. We have been. We're seeing this in Ezekiel. We have been. We've seen this in Micah. We've seen this in Amos. We've seen this in Daniel. We have been. There is a particular point of reference that the author is trying to convey from Isaiah 53, which after this point, they continue, which makes it even more relevant to understand the type of land that they are being quote unquote cut off from. This land of the living is not a land of earth, biological, ecological, geographical earth. That's not what the Bible ever talks about. The land of the living belongs to a specific regime called the sons of men, the enemies of the individual from Isaiah 53, as illustrated in the book of Ezekiel, as illustrated in the book of Daniel, as illustrated in the book of Jeremiah, as illustrated throughout the priesthood. The land of the living is the priesthood. And when you get to the fine-tuned details of what it means to be living, briefly said here, but when one is living, they are embodying an essence that is similar to what took place in the garden, which essence is hedged around and fulfilled within the kind of priest, mankind, priest kind, same thing in the Bible's words, Bible's language, priest kind. This is who the land of the living is for, and this is what it means to walk in the land of the living with a confidence towards the living God. This isn't for everyone. This isn't a context for the general individual walking on the street. This isn't for every individual. This is for a specific character with a specific mindset, with a specific character trait, personality for themselves concerning their devotional lifestyle. This is very specific. And this very specific trait, devotional lifestyle generated individual is a Jeremiah. Again, we really can't miss the language that's being used in Jeremiah and Isaiah. That's done on purpose. That's not accidental. We're supposed to understand narrative through narrative. And the author writing Isaiah 53 is letting us know that the narrative concerning their main character is a narrative that is met and fulfilled through and through Jeremiah.